Ever get that feeling, where it's like you're just going through the motions? Like, what's the point of it all?
Yeah.
Well, today's deep dive might just flip your perspective, I think. We're
Interesting.
talking Viktor Frankl.
Okay.
This guy, he found meaning in the most unlikely place I think you could imagine.
Yeah, Frankl, he's not your typical self-help guru, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Imagine, like developing a life philosophy, not in a cozy office or something,
Yeah.
but in Nazi concentration camps.
Oh, wow.
During World War II, his book, Man's Search for Meaning, like it literally came out of that experience.
Oh.
And, it's become this guidepost for millions of people seeking purpose, especially in the face of suffering.
So we're diving deep into Frankl's world today, all right? We've got his book, some of his lectures, ready to break it all down. Our mission, well, to understand his unique approach.
Okay.
It's called logotherapy.
Logotherapy.
And see how it can apply to your life, like right now.
Logotherapy, it all boils down to this, really. Frankl believed that we're wired for meaning,
Okay.
not just happiness.
Not just happiness.
He even said this, and it's a good one. Happiness cannot be pursued. It must ensue. So think of it this way. You don't go looking for happiness directly.
Right.
It's a byproduct of living a life that has meaning to you.
So it's less about feeling good all the time and more about having that driving force.
Yeah.
A why that keeps you going.
Exactly. And actually, Frankl, he was a big fan of Nietzsche's line, he who has a why to live can bear almost anyhow.
Okay.
Meaning having a purpose. It can make us incredibly resilient.
Yeah.
Even in the face of some pretty awful hows, right?
Now, this is where it gets mind-blowing for me, okay? Frankl believed that suffering, and obviously suffering's terrible, but he believed that it could actually be transformative.
Okay.
Like a path to deeper meaning. How was that even possible? Especially considering where he developed these ideas.
Yeah. Well, that's the paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
But Frankl, he believed that even in, the bleakest situations, we have a choice.
We have a choice.
We can choose our attitude.
Okay.
We can choose how we respond. And that doesn't, diminish the suffering.
Right.
But it changes our relationship to it.
So it's about finding that inner strength.
Wow.
That flicker of something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
Even when you're surrounded by, all this darkness.
Right. And Frankl believed that this something bigger, it often involves stepping outside of our own needs.
Okay.
And focusing on what we can contribute to the world. He would ask people, what does life expect from you? A powerful question, right?
Definitely makes you stop and think instead of, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
Okay, what can I give? That's a big mental shift.
And potentially a liberating one, right?
Yeah.
And Frankl identified 3 main paths to finding this kind of meaning. Let's maybe explore those a bit.
Right.
First one, there's the path of creativity.
Okay, let's get creative then.
Okay.
What did Frankl have in mind here?
Well, it goes beyond painting or writing a symphony or something like that.
Okay.
It's about any work or project, really, where you get to express your values.
Okay.
And make a unique contribution. It could be building a business that solves a problem, or raising a family with intention, or even just pursuing a hobby that brings beauty into the world.
So it's about channeling your passion.
Yes.
And making your mark on the world, but in a way that feels authentic to you.
Exactly. Frankl believed each of us has something unique to offer.
Right.
A gift, really, to give. It's about finding that gift and putting it out there.
Got it. Okay, what about the second path? Experiencing.
Experiencing. This one sounds intriguing.
Yeah, well, think about those moments that truly make you feel alive.
A breathtaking sunset, or a piece of music that moves you to tears, or even a deep conversation with someone you care about.
Yeah.
These are all experiences that connect us to something larger than ourselves.
Yeah. It's like pressing pause on the daily grind.
Yeah.
And really savoring life's richness.
Yes.
Even amidst, the chaos.
Exactly. And those connections, those moments of deep feeling and appreciation, they really nourish our sense of meaning.
Okay, so we've got creativity and experiencing.
Yep.
What's that third path?
Okay, so this one might be the most challenging one, especially given Frankl's, own life story. It's about choosing our attitude, even when we're faced with suffering.
Wait, so are we saying we should just paste on a smile?
Oh, no.
Pretend everything's fine when it's not?
No.
That doesn't seem healthy or realistic.
Frankl, he wasn't advocating for denial or ignoring pain. It's more about recognizing that even in, The darkest moments. We have the power to choose our response.
Yeah.
And sometimes that choice can like profoundly change how we experience that suffering.
Can you give like an example of what that might look like, in practice?
Okay, well, imagine going through a tough breakup.
Yeah.
It hurts, right?
Yeah.
It's messy and it's easy to get swallowed up by those feelings, but
Mhm.
you have a choice.
Okay.
You can wallow in it, or you can choose to focus on like the lessons learned,
Hmm.
the growth that can come from heartbreak.
Oh, okay.
You might even find like a newfound sense of independence and, self-discovery.
So it's about acknowledging the pain,
Yes.
but choosing to look for the potential for growth within it.
Right, exactly.
I think Frankl called this tragic optimism.
You got it. Tragic optimism, it means holding both the darkness and the light. It's a powerful mindset, especially today when it feels like we're constantly facing one challenge after another.
Right.
But before we kind of delve deeper into that, let's maybe shift gears a little bit and look at how Frankl actually used his approach, in therapy.
All right, let's talk about how logotherapy actually works in practice.
Yeah.
What sets it apart from other forms of therapy?
Well, one key difference is its focus on the present and the future, rather than like dwelling on the past.
Okay.
Instead of digging into childhood traumas, it's about finding what gives your life meaning right now,
Okay.
and how you can build a future that's aligned with that meaning.
So it's more action-oriented
Yes.
and forward-looking.
Exactly. It's about asking, what is my unique contribution to the world? What does life expect from me?
Wow. Yeah.
It helps people identify their own personal mission.
That's a big question. It really flips the script, I think, on what we usually think about, when it comes to personal fulfillment.
And that's what Frankl was aiming for, right? Shifting the focus from self-absorption
Okay.
to self-transcendence.
Transcendence.
It's less about asking, what do I want? And more about asking, what can I give?
This is fascinating. So how does this actually play out in like a therapy session? What are some of the techniques a logotherapist might use?
That's a great question. And one we can definitely dive into deeper, as we keep going.
That's a great question, and one we can definitely dive into deeper as we keep going here.
Yeah, so a good technique a logotherapist might use to help you move forward is called de-reflection.
De-reflection.
It's a mouthful, but the idea is simple and super powerful.
Okay.
So instead of getting all caught up in your anxieties and worries, you shift your attention outward towards something meaningful outside of yourself.
So it's kind of like you take the focus off of me, myself, and I and put it on something bigger,
Yeah,
like a passion project, a relationship, a cause you believe in.
exactly. Frankl, he observed that too much self-analysis, it can trap us in this cycle of negativity.
Right.
But when we focus on something that we can contribute to, something larger than ourselves, we often find ourselves feeling more fulfilled and less burdened by those, internal struggles.
That's interesting. So instead of like obsessing over my to-do list or my flaws or whatever,
Yeah.
I might find more peace, like by volunteering at an animal shelter or getting lost in a creative project.
You got it. It's about redirecting that energy
Yeah.
towards something meaningful and productive.
Okay.
Now, another technique that logotherapists use is it's called the Socratic dialogue.
Socratic dialogue, like from ancient Greece.
Yeah,
Didn't they like ask a lot of questions back then?
they did.
Yeah.
And that's actually the heart of this technique.
Okay.
So the therapist will guide you through a series of questions
Okay.
designed to help you explore your values, beliefs, and ultimately your sources of meaning. Think of it as like a gentle but insightful conversation that leads you to your own, aha moments.
So instead of giving direct advice, the therapist acts like a guide, helping you connect the dots and discover those answers within yourself.
Precisely. And sometimes they might use something called paradoxical intention, which can seem a bit counterintuitive at first.
Paradoxical intention. That sounds pretty intense. What's that all about?
Well, it involves encouraging you to do the very thing that you're afraid of.
Really?
For example, if you're terrified of public speaking,
Oh, yeah.
a logotherapist might, encourage you to actually seek out opportunities to, like, speak in front of others.
Wait, really? That sounds scary.
It can be, but it's often surprisingly effective.
Okay.
The idea is that by confronting our fears, like head on, we often realize that they're not as powerful as we thought.
Yeah.
It helps us break free from that grip of anxiety.
Right.
and gain a sense of mastery.
So it's like facing your fear, but in like a safe and supportive environment. So you
Yes.
can realize, hey, I can actually do this.
Exactly. And that newfound confidence, it can kind of like ripple out into other areas of your life too.
Hmm.
Now, remember that concept of tragic optimism that we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Logotherapy techniques like these, they can really help you, cultivate that optimistic spirit even amidst these challenging circumstances.
Yes, tragic optimism, that really resonated with me.
Yeah.
It's about finding hope and purpose, even when life throws you curveballs. It's easier said than done, though. How
Mm.
do we actually, do that?
Well, think back to Frankl's own experience in the concentration camps. He was literally surrounded by suffering, yet he still managed to find meaning in like small acts of kindness, moments of beauty, his work as a doctor, helping others.
So it's about choosing to find those like glimmers of light,
You,
those things that make life worth living, even when the darkness just feels overwhelming.
absolutely, and it's a powerful reminder that we always have a choice in how we respond to our circumstances.
Right.
We can choose to cultivate hope, resilience, and even a sense of joy, even in the face of tragedy.
That's incredibly inspiring, but it also sounds incredibly difficult.
Yeah. Is this tragic optimism something we're like born with?
Hmm.
Or is it a skill we can like develop?
Well, Frankl, he believed that it was a skill we could cultivate. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through gratitude.
Gratitude. But how can we be grateful when things are like falling apart around us?
Well, it's not about denying the difficulty.
Yeah.
It's about acknowledging the good things in our lives, both big and small, and appreciating them fully. It could be the warmth of the sun, a kind word from a stranger, a delicious meal, a moment of laughter with a friend.
Hmm.
By shifting our attention to those positive aspects, we open ourselves up to the possibility of joy, even amidst hardship.
So it's like intentionally shifting our focus away from what's like going wrong and towards what's going right,
Yeah.
even if those right things seem small.
Yes. And it takes practice. It's not always easy, especially when, we're going through tough times.
Yeah. But remember Frankl's words. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. Choosing gratitude, it's an act of strength and resilience.
That quote is so powerful.
Yeah.
It really highlights like the power we have over our own experience, regardless of what's happening, externally. But how do we translate these big ideas into like concrete actions?
Huh?
What are some like practical things we can do to cultivate this tragic optimism and find more meaning in our lives?
Those are excellent questions.
Yeah.
And ones that we'll explore in more depth.
And ones that we'll explore more depth right now. So where do we even begin?
Well, I think a great starting point is asking yourself like a simple but profound question. What gives my life meaning?
We're talking about the things that like make me feel truly alive.
Yes.
The things that get me out of bed in the morning.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be like some grand world-changing mission or anything. It could be spending quality time with, loved ones, creating art, volunteering in your community, even mastering a new skill.
It's about finding what lights you up personally.
Yes.
Those things that connect you to, something bigger than yourself.
You nailed it. And once you identify those sources of meaning, make a conscious effort to like prioritize them in your daily life.
Okay.
Schedule time for them,
Scheduled time.
just like you would any other important appointment.
That makes a lot of sense. It's easy to let those things slide when, life gets busy.
Yeah.
But I guess Frankl would say they're not just nice to haves, they're essentials.
Exactly. They're the fuel for your soul. The things that give you a sense of purpose and direction. Now, remember that powerful tool we talked about, gratitude?
Yeah, gratitude, I get how it can shift your perspective, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on how to actually do it.
Well, there are many ways to practice gratitude, really. Find what resonates with you. Some people like to keep a gratitude journal, jotting down a few things they're thankful for each day.
Okay.
Others prefer to simply, like, pause throughout the day and mentally acknowledge moments of beauty, connection, or, simple pleasures.
So it's not about like a specific method, but more about making gratitude a regular part of your life.
You got it. It's about training your mind to, notice and appreciate the good, even when things are tough.
Okay.
It could be something as simple as, like, savoring your morning coffee, enjoying a walk in nature, or appreciating a good laugh with a friend. Those little moments of appreciation, they really add up.
This is starting to click for me.
Yep.
Identify your sources of meaning, prioritize them, and practice gratitude. What else can we take away from Frankl's work to, cultivate that tragic optimism?
Well, let's go back to that powerful quote from Frankl. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. It reminds us that even when we can't control what happens to us, we always have a choice in how we respond.
So it's about taking responsibility for our own experience, even when things are, rough.
Yes, and it's not about denying or minimizing the difficult emotions. It's about acknowledging the reality of the situation
Okay.
while also choosing to focus on what you can control, your attitude, your actions, your thoughts.
Can you give an example of how this might play out in everyday life?
Sure, imagine you're facing a major setback like losing your job.
Hmm.
It's natural to feel like a wave of negative emotions,
Right.
fear, anger, disappointment. But instead of getting, swept away by those feelings, you can choose to see it as an opportunity.
An opportunity.
Yeah.
And losing a job.
Yes, it could be a chance to reevaluate your career path,
Yeah.
learn new skills, or finally pursue, that passion project you've always put on hold.
So it's about looking for the potential for growth, even in the midst of hardship.
Right.
That's a pretty radical way to look at things.
It is. And it takes conscious effort to shift your perspective from, why me to what now. But that shift can be incredibly empowering.
Frankl's ideas, they feel so relevant today when we're all facing, so many global challenges and personal uncertainties.
I agree. They offer a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, we have the capacity for hope, resilience, and even joy. We can choose to find meaning in our suffering, connect with something larger than ourselves, and live with a sense of purpose that transcends our circumstances.
This deep dive has been a real eye-opener for me. Frankl's story and his philosophy are truly inspiring. It's a reminder that even in the face of, unimaginable hardship, the human spirit can not only endure but thrive when we choose to focus on what truly matters. Love, connection, meaning, and purpose. Remember, you always have a choice in how you respond to life's challenges. So as you go about your day, ask yourself, what will you choose? What meaning will you create? What will your unique contribution to the world be?